All right, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 70 of the Hideout, where we will be talking about Web3 gaming and the Metaverse with a really awesome panel from all different walks of the space. I think we may be waiting on one more speaker, but we're going to get started, and then we'll get them up here when they join. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nick Frontera. I am one of the founders and the CEO of Apollo Entertainment, the company behind Satoshiverse and the Legion's 2029 game. We've been developing Satoshiverse for a little over 3.5 years now. It started off as a comic themed blockchain themed comic collaboration between ourselves and Jose Delbo, and has turned into a gaming universe where we have our game Legion's 2029. We have this Spaces, the Hideout. We have tons of NFTs, all sorts of cool stuff. So I'm not going to talk too much about what we're building, because I really want to focus on the questions and the guests. But I will say that we pinned a tweet to the top of the space that has all the information on our game. What I will say is that the game is completely free to play, and you just download it, and it can be played on desktop. It's a hack and slash game, very fast paced, very arcadey feel. Lots of fun. All the progression is being stored on the blockchain. So really cool integrations. If you're into Web3 gaming, this is kind of a no-risk way to get in on a fun game and good community. So check it out. And yeah, we're doing a ton of initiatives. We got a couple big releases coming up. So very excited for anyone who wants to learn more. Check out the pin tweet. But what we'll do is now we're going to move over to introductions of our lovely guests. I'll call on you guys, give a quick introduction of yourselves, what you're building, anything you might have coming up. Feel free to pin any kind of visuals to the top of the space. If you've got, your pinned tweet on your Twitter that has like a trailer or some gameplay videos or whatever you think would be good for the guests. We love to have, the most illustrative things that we can. So please do feel free to pin it. And then we will jump into the questions. And if we do have the other speaker join, we'll get them up here and have a quick introduction from them as well. But let's start with Decimated. I was checking out the game earlier, and it looks very cool. Big fan of what you guys are building in Unreal Engine. Could you give us a quick introduction and tell us about what you're building?
Yeah, guys, thanks very much for inviting us here. My name's Adam, or Frantic, the community manager from Decimated. So Decimated is a massive kind of open world multiplayer survival game being built on Solana. We're using Unreal Engine 5, kind of the latest versions, to make sure that the game looks kind of as polished and it's as immersive as possible for its players. We have a token called Dio, which is our kind of ecosystem token, which is on Solana. And our game is currently in pre-alpha, so anyone can join our community on Discord and take part in kind of bug hunting and giving us feedback on how the game is developing as we drop gameplay patches. So we'd love to see you in there and welcome you to our community.
All right, I love it. I'm always a fan when we see these cool high fidelity games. I personally play a lot of them, so excited to watch you guys continue to build. Let's jump over to Forgotten Playland, who also has a pretty cool gaming experience themselves. Tell us a little bit about what you guys are building.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Bram. I'm one of the co-founders and head of marketing for Forgotten Playland. We are a free-to-play social party game built in Unreal Engine 5 as well, and we're launching on the Beam subnet. We're actually launching in 2 days, so very exciting and very hectic times for us these last couple of days. But yeah, again, in short, we're a kind of a party game, kind of Mario Party inspired, party game on the Beam subnet.
Very cool. Well, we got the chance to meet the Beam team over at GDC. We're at the Avalanche booth, and that really great stuff that they're building, and really cool to see, all these new projects taking advantage of kind of the good throughput and all that. So really, really excited to have you guys and jump into the questions. Let's now jump over to, I might pronounce this wrong, but I'm going to say it's Infinity. And I hopefully I got that right.
Yeah, this is Brett from Infinity. Yeah, that's right. I try to get cute with it, inserting the NFT in there, but yeah, good job. So, yeah, I'll just do a quick overview for us. So we pair physical goods with NFTs. I think as relevance for like Web3 gaming, being able to have a physical asset that you own in the real world and having that linked to a digital asset that you own in a game, that being, linked through an NFT. So.
Amazing. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
you guys will definitely have unique perspectives when we jump into the questions. And I see we have our other guest. So, Pirate Nation, could you give us, just because you weren't here when I did my little intro, could you give us a quick introduction? And then feel free to pin anything to the top of the spaces that you'd like. But yeah, we'll just do a quick introduction, then we'll jump into the questions.
Amazing. Apologies, friends. X run this has been a little Twix, Twitter, X, what do you want to call it? It's been not working super great today, so I didn't get the ping on this event, so apologies for the lateness. But pirates always show up to the party. Hey everyone, I'm Jonathan. I'm the community lead over at Pirate Nation. We are a fully on-chain RPG themed after pirates. DM us if you want a Gen 1 mint code to get started in the game for free. We just launched our, in the last week or so, we launched our booty quest under the Jolly Roger campaign. So if you like booty points, and pirates love booty, you know where to find us.
I love it. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And thanks for joining. I know Twitter/X/ whatever Elon decides to call it tomorrow can be a bit technically ruggy, but thank you. Hopefully they won't do anything to us for talking mean about them. But let's jump in. So I think we have Spencer here as well. So Spencer, you want to give a quick introduction and then take us in to the agenda?
Sure thing. Are you able to hear me real quick? I've been having a couple issues too.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Well, my name is Spencer Vogel. I'm the business development manager for Apollo Entertainment and Satoshiverse. Been working with the team for the last few years now. So I'll be asking the questions on today's space and getting into the format a little bit. So we're going to start out with a question for everyone in the group. I'll call on someone to start, and then feel free to just jump into the conversation from there. Then we'll get into some individual questions for each of you guys. And then if we have time at the end, we will get back into some questions for the group. And then finally, for everyone who's here listening live, we're going to be doing a giveaway at the end of our space. So make sure you stick around until the end of our space for a chance to win that prize. So getting into the first question here, and maybe Adam at Decimated, maybe you could start us off with this one. So what strategies do you think are most effective for continually keeping communities engaged in the Web3 space?
I mean, this is always kind of like an interesting one, isn't it? But I think the lovely thing about the Web3 community is that it's constantly kind of evolving and new projects are coming out and you hear about new projects every day. So you got this like constant flow of content that you can work and, use to engage your community, whether it's kind of sharing news, running kind of like events in your Discord, engaging with different communities across kind of like Reddit or Telegram, jumping onto X spaces, getting invited to good X spaces and having good kind of, Discord with other people. There's lots of, something that we're harnessing with the Decimated community is we're looking forward to kind of like running play to airdrop sort of like tournaments once the game is live. And we'll definitely be jumping on kind of platforms like Zeely or, Dverse, places like this that just kind of, they lend themselves really well to kind of like, utilizing blockchain tech and integrating with SocialFi kind of like questing. There's just so much to kind of choose from. I was hearing about, Mario Party-esque gaming, and I absolutely love that kind of thing. So I was like, I mean, that's something we can jump into, you know? So I think it's so multifarious. It's great. And I think, you know, coming from a Web2 background, you know, and being part of communities there, it was very much kind of like black and white in many ways, in terms of you were just on forums and then in the games, you know, kind of sending DMs and stuff. So it's a massive step up with social-fi and all this kind of stuff, you know, bringing a new element, a new kind of like dimension to gaming communities, or you know, technology communities.
Anyone else in the group have anything to add?
Sorry, what was the question? It cut out.
Oh, yep. Sorry about that. Yeah, the question was, what strategies do you think are most effective for continually keeping communities engaged in the Web3 space?
Oh, well, the obvious answer is keep pumping their bags, right? That's the obvious answer. Get the airdrop allocations, drop your own token, do whatever you can to keep people feeling like they're still making money. Whether they actually are or aren't, that's a different question. But that's not sustainable. It's going to run out. It's going to like the bubble's going to burst eventually on the market. So what you could do in the meantime, particularly in Web3 gaming, is build a really fun, really cool, really engaging game, or other product that people can use on a regular basis. But for the sake of gaming, you just have to like make a great game that people want to play. Um, Continually drop great artwork, continually drop great game mechanics, drop great events, and drop great rewards. That's the long term secret that shines through bear and bull markets alike. I've actually like been on a very successful Web3 game through the bear market, and now I'm with a different successful Web3 game that has been successful through bear and is about to explode in the bull. So it's really about right. It's really about building a good product that people can engage with on a regular basis, and keep giving them reasons too, that hopefully aren't strictly monetary and over financialized.
Yeah, I definitely. Oh, go ahead, Forgot.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to kind of jump in and kind of say that I agree with both Pirate Nation and Adam on their explanation. I mean, in a sense, it is very dependent on the kind of game you're building and also kind of the direction you want to put your community in. Like, obviously, we all want to build a great game and get the community involved. And obviously, the community wants to get rich in the process as much as possible. And we want to help as much as possible in that sense as well. But yeah, you truly need a good game to begin with to kind of get that community on board from the beginning. Because if there's not a fun game to play, it's also not fun to kind of get them involved in all the activations. So it's kind of a an ever changing, ever growing kind of approach that you need to take, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, and I think I kind of agree with all of your takes. And you know, for me, it's kind of just what has been said. It is creating value, right? It's not necessarily about, you know, you could do it through creating a great game, you could do it through creating a great community, you could do it through creating interesting tokenomics or some, you know, interesting use of Web3 that didn't exist before. You could do it by creating infrastructure, but at the end of the day, especially if you have any kind of tokenomics model, the only sustainable way to continue to grow that is to create real value, right? And so if you're a gaming project, that usually starts with the product and then kind of encompasses everything around it. I think that, you know, from a Web3 perspective, there are some unique ways to engage with your community beyond just creating a great product. And I think sometimes this kind of becomes part of the product just because of the way a lot of Web3 games are built. And that's really just trying to find ways to involve your community in the development process. And so I know that that is something that we focus on as much as we possibly can. Because we're only a 20-something person team, we don't have, necessarily the resources to have, testers that are, hundreds of testers all testing the game and finding every glitch and giving feedback. Our community is to some extent a large majority of our testers. And so, it's cool because we're able to take feedback and directly incorporate it into the game development and game design. And I think there's certain types of players and community members who really enjoy, that ability to really influence how the game is built, but then, going beyond that, including community art in the game, helping community in influence artistic decisions, helping, creating social events, for your community that go outside of the game. One of the things I love about this space is the opportunity to collaborate with other projects in a meaningful way and create extra value through that. So definitely, for me, it's all about value creation in any way you can. Go ahead, Pirate Nation.
Yeah, I just want to say big shout out to you for having that approach of kind of like socializing the development process, socializing the art process down to your community. That's part of the reason of why we're fully on chain. Well, one, our CEO, he co-created Farmville, and ever since then, he's always had a focus on like just ship. Just we have to ship something every single week, and that means we're making our own events every single week. There's an update. There's a reason to come back and see what we changed, what we fixed. But the other piece is like we're fully on chain because one day we want Pirate Nation to have all the flavors available, all 31 flavors at Baskin Robbins. We want all the mods. We want all the community art. We want all of the fun kind of like side products you can build on top of the game. We've already had some people build some great stuff. We have people build a question platform on top of us. We have had people build a leaderboard solution. So I just want to say +1 to get your community involved in the process of building it, because even if they don't have a financial stake, they will still feel some kind of investment, ideally emotional. They'll feel an emotional investment and keep coming back because they want to continue to have a say in something that will hopefully go to the moon in its player game.
Brett, do you have anything to add before we move on to individual questions here?
No, I don't have anything right now. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Sweet. So moving on. So our first individual question here is going to be to Bram. So how do you think the social party game genre can benefit from the integration of Web3 technology?
That's a very good question. And for us, I mean, we are very much game focused. So we're building a party game that is built by more traditional game developers to provide a proper party game experience on the blockchain. And the reason that we're going for the blockchain is also just because with a lot of these games, you have either tournament modes or you have skins and cosmetics that you buy. And how terrible it is to say out loud in general is like people do get bored or want to move on to a different game at some point in the future. And if I look at myself, I have spent quite a ton of money on like traditional games, buying skins and investing in like a game that I truly like. But once I move on, it is kind of money wasted. And by using the blockchain and kind of keeping all those transactions on chain and kind of visible to everyone, you can also just sell your cosmetics to the next one who maybe just found out about that game and really wants to have that cool old school skin that came out in the first 6 months, even though we're like in year 3 now, for instance. And just bringing all those things together and just creating a fun, social, interactive place, in this case on the blockchain, I think that kind of encompasses why we're building what we're building.
Awesome. Well, I'm a big fan of party games and played Mario Party a lot growing up, so I'm excited to dive in and check you guys out a little bit more. So moving on now to our next individual question, which is going to be to Brett. So how can pairing physical goods with digital twins using NFC chips improve transparency, combat counterfeiting, and optimize sustainability?
Yeah, for sure. So I think like the way I've been thinking about it is that the NFC is sort of the medium between the physical good and the digital twin or NFT. And so I think digital twins or NFTs can improve transparency by really leveraging the blockchain as the central source of truth for disparate systems along a product's life cycle. So we've thought more about like physical goods, and say you own, we'll just say like a designer T-shirt or something like that, and you want to be able to know like who's owned it previously or what have you before it, or maybe you even want to know like the provenance of the T-shirt, like where the materials came from. And I think the blockchain can provide a lot of transparency around that. And then when it comes to combating counterfeiting, I think the NFT also can become a digital certificate of authenticity for physical goods. So in the past, if you ever bought like a designer watch or some sort of designer handbag, usually they'll come with papers indicating some sort of certification that this is in fact like an authentic piece from the designer or manufacturer. And so we think in the future NFTs can replace that. And then the NFC chips themselves can also help enable that. So depending on the type of NFC chip that you use, some have security features, others don't. The ones that we recommend for most people are Intag 424 chips or the ARCS chips as well. Both of those have cryptography baked into them, which enables unique links that are created every time you tap the chip. And so what's nice about this is if someone were to try and copy and paste that link to another chip, it wouldn't work with our system. And so I think with that can help combat counterfeiting by adding security features so that you know that you're buying an authentic good, not only because of the NFC chip, but also because of the NFT and being able to track back to who is the original creator of it. And then finally, for optimizing sustainability, we think that really the NFC chips redirecting to a web page sort of enables the sustainability by just making life easier for folks where they can tap the chip, redirect to a resale page so they can resell the product in the secondary market or potentially repair it as well.
Interesting. So this is, I mean, this is something I've always been kind of curious about, and seeing the pairing of digital and physical, I think is something that we're going to see as one of the primary use cases of NFTs in the future. I'm curious if you could kind of take us through what the typical sale looks like for those who may not be as up on what this tech is doing and what this tech is. I think you did a really good job of explaining why it's valuable. But kind of at a basic level, if I want to sell a physical good with a NFC chip, how does that process look? I own it. I want to sell it to someone else. Take us through that if you could.
Yeah, so I think so right now it sort of depends on the brand that you're working with. I think in most cases, it's sort of been easier just to work in with their established flow. So when someone purchases a product, like right now, the way that we have it set up is that you'll go to their Shopify store as an example, purchase the product, and then once you actually receive the product, you'll tap the chip. And that's when then you'll then go through a workflow where you'll type in the order details and information, like your email address, order number. And then once you press claim digital collectible, that's what will then mint the NFT in your wallet or transfer the NFT into your wallet. And then at that point, now you own the NFT. And then from there, that's when you can start, I guess, just kind of participating in the secondary market with that NFT. So we've also worked with other wallet providers like Solaire, which enables us to, I guess, provide a functionality for consumers to sell their product in the secondary market. So how that works is that you use their wallet, and what they do is they actually will hold the NFT in escrow so that when you sell the product or at least list it on just say like your social networks or whatever, someone says, hey, yep, I want to buy it. You'll then transfer your NFT into their escrow contract. They'll hold it. And then once the person actually receives the physical good and they say, yep, everything looks good, they'll then transfer that NFT into the new customer's wallet. And so that's how you're actually getting the traceability of the product throughout its lifespan, but also ensuring that, creators capture the royalty payments as well.
Got it. And that makes a ton of sense. And I'm kind of curious, where this goes, right? So, because we're still talking about the potential of having, a third party intermediary. Is there a world where you can kind of restrict the ability to transfer the NFT without having the physical object present, or is the way that it works right now so it's structured in a way that people, if they self custody, they could transfer the NFT without the physical object, because that's definitely something we've seen be a problem in the art world. People buying something that comes with a physical and then selling the NFT without the physical, right? So I'm curious if there is how you see this progressing and evolving.
Yeah, so right now, yeah, it's technically possible to transfer the NFT without transferring the ownership. I think that, at least in the current state, will persist. I mean, there's pros and cons to that. I think if sort of it's known that you need to have the NFT, as I mentioned, like the digital certificate of authenticity with the physical good, I don't think anybody's going to want to purchase it without, receiving the NFT. But I think also it opens up things that like what Americana and 4K are doing, which are vaulting services. So you could just send the physical product into them, they'll hold it, and then at that point you can start trading the NFT as sort of like a contract, or like a security almost, saying like, I have the obligation to redeem or the right to redeem this actual physical good by owning this NFT.
I think it's really interesting. I mean, I'm only asking now because it's pretty topical. We've been talking to for a long time an artist named Trevor Jones, and he is a physical painter who moved to the NFT space and became very popular here. And so then there becomes that question of, well, if I'm an NFT artist and I create this awesome looking NFT, but then I also have a physical painting and I'm a physical artist, which one is the value, right? Or are they both separate and valuable? But I think, as you put it, if it's just a proof of authenticity and maybe it doesn't have the image attached to it, maybe it's not a piece of digital art, maybe it's simply a way of verifying a piece of physical art, then I think it makes a ton of sense. And I think this technology is extremely cutting edge, and I think it'll be interesting to see how it evolves as we move forward. But thanks. No, that was super informative.
Welcome.
Awesome. And just real quick, I want to say before we move on to the next question, I'm big in the both physical and digital collectible space, and I'm big fan of where those two worlds get linked, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for NFC chips to get involved in that space. And we've seen some pretty cool things where owning an NFT allows you to claim a physical physical toy or something like that. Like Funko has done some cool things like that. But yeah, I think at least to the extent that I haven't seen it, there hasn't been very much stuff done with the NFC chip. I think with the exception of Primal Cipher with CGC Comics, he did a pretty interesting thing. But anyway, just a little anecdote before we move on now to Adam at Decimated. So Decimated has its own token called Dio, which you mentioned before. So what role do you believe tokens should play in decentralized gaming player economies?
Sure. So I think, the great thing about this panel is there's such a massive variety to the kind of the topics that we're talking about. So I'm sitting here thinking about digital and everything, kind of go, okay, now I need to get my head back in the game. But so I think coming at this from very much kind of like a traditional gaming point of view, coming from economies like, World of Warcraft and all these kind of like massive player-based or player-controlled kind of economies, I think like, blockchain tech has the potential to take all of this kind of to the next level and hand back a lot of the kind of, ownership and potential to the players, to kind of like be invested in the game as much as they want or as little as they want. And I think for Decimated, for us, the way that we're kind of approaching it is very much just kind of like pushing the boundaries forward as far as we possibly can with kind of player-driven economies. We're heading into kind of like a niche in terms of, blockchain gaming, where we're kind of the first big survival game kind of in blockchain. We've been developing for a while, and we're really interested to see what a player-driven economy will do. The game is similar to DayZ. There's going to be a lot of kind of purchasable assets that can then be tradable, but then also the economy itself kind of goes from a macro to a micro level in terms of kind of, players will be able to control fuel, ammunition, food supplies, and there'll be a limited amount of these things. So kind of anything can happen, and we're kind of ready and looking forward to the chaos that will ensue, kind of sow the seeds of chaos and then just see what happens. I mean, we're fully aware that, in kind of blockchain and a lot of a lot of the Web3 games that are coming, that are launching this season and into kind of 2025, we're all going to struggle with botting. We're all going to struggle with, people kind of like doing their best to hack into kind of the games and aim botting, all of this kind of stuff. We're all anticipating that. We know it's going to happen. And I think in order to kind of like persevere through this, blockchain adds that element of kind of transparency, of kind of, a social sort of, calling out of things, hey, this is happening. Everything happens very quickly, is iterated on very quickly, and that's a wonderful place to be. It's very scary because, there's real money at stake. And when talking about player-driven economies, real people are going to be losing real money, which, in GTA 5 or World of Warcraft, we weren't talking about that much money. Realistically, we were talking about, a Game Pass, which maybe cost $40 or something like this. This has the potential to be, that we'll be talking about a lot more money that people can kind of have at stake. But, I think you kind of have to, with the new potential for technology, you kind of have to push it as far as it goes. There's a lot of risk involved, but you have to take that risk in order for new solutions to be found and fantastic kind of new projects to kind of erupt to counteract these things. And that's what we're doing alongside it, the projects that sort of facilitated on the back end and on the front end. So it's really exciting. It's very scary. But, a big decentralized, survival-based game, player-driven economy is going to be so much fun to be part of, when it launches.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think when we think about tokens in general, right, and how projects have tokens, and since 2017 and even earlier, tokens have been a very popular thing to integrate into a project. Games are kind of the prototype use case for a token that people understand, right? We've had games with centralized tokens for decades, and in-game currencies and soft currencies, and the concept of having a unit of exchange that is much smaller than an item, or takes less time to acquire, and that can be accumulated within a game, is just something that gamers understand. And so I think making the jump from in-game currency to cryptocurrency definitely has its nuances, but there's so many things you can do to reward players, to incentivize players, to engage new players who may, be after, hey, like, I want to play this game because I want to accumulate this. I want to participate in the player economy. I don't know if I want to actually play the game. I remember, there were games like Diablo 2, for example, where I beat the game, in maybe the first 50 hours, and then I played another 1,000 hours, which were mainly, getting items and selling them and buying them and going on forums and negotiating with players. And this was all in game. There was no way to do it on a market. But the game that I enjoyed playing and that gave me tons of fulfillment was the player economy. It was a whole macro game on top of the story and the mechanics and all these things. And so, when we think about tokens and gaming generally, it makes a ton of sense. And so to extend that, I think beyond gaming into, or beyond just the game, but into a cryptocurrency space where tokens are kind of the way that people get involved in games often, or sorry, in projects often. I think it makes a ton of sense, and it lends itself to capabilities that otherwise are harder to do because they're more abstract, right? Player rewards. If you're trying to incentivize a new player, it's easier to say, hey, you can come do this and you'll get a little bit of our token, versus, hey, you're going to get this item that is, super rare, but they don't know it's rare. They don't know what that item means. They don't know. Sure, it may look cool, but they don't know the role. Whereas everyone can kind of understand, well, this is the currency that we use within our ecosystem. So I think it simplifies a lot the risk reward and incentivization players, and it allows for an economy to potentially function. I think it comes with its challenges as well, which is a rabbit hole, so I'll avoid that. But I think they can be potentially very useful.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the good thing is that we're in a place where we can lean into everything that you just said, like lean into, rewarding players with tokens, rewarding content creators in a decentralized way for creating good content, rewarding players for, interacting in every way that you create possible, within your game. And I think that's the kind of the beauty of it is where we can really leverage everything that we've seen come before. And all of this new fantastic stuff kind of going ahead is just about leaning into it as much as possible. Or for whatever your risk tolerance is.
Totally agree with everything you guys are saying. So moving on to our last individual question here for Pirate Nation. So you mentioned before that you guys are fully on chain. So I was wondering if you could give us a little bit of insight into what aspects of a game you think are most important to have on chain, and in what scenarios do you think it makes sense to actually have the game be fully on chain?
Yeah, so for us with fully on chain, all of the game logic, all of the game economy, it's on chain. So, if we have our daily challenges we call the gauntlet. If you win the gauntlet, you lose the gauntlet, that gets recorded on chain. If I have 100 wood or 1,000 wood or 1 wood to build ores and build items to build ships, that's on chain. Our ships are on chain, they're tradable. All of these items, like they're on chain and tradable, or it's recorded for the sake of having that public database. I don't think our artwork is on chain at this moment, and I'm not sure what the plans are there, so can't answer on that one. But the value of it is that it's all this data is now like verifiable, it's unruggable. Pirate Nation is built by frequent play. If we get wiped off the map for one reason or another, guess what? Like all you have to do is just build a UI on top of it, and the game comes back. All the information is there. It's not lost. It's not ephemeral. It's permanent. And the other thing is that it's really composable and really interoperable. So we could do a lot of stuff in the future, especially now. We outgrew Polygon very quickly. We outgrew Arbitrum Nova, and we launched our own L3 earlier this year. So we could scale it to ideally 100 million players. We launched the Apex chain, which is built on the Arbitrum Orbit stack. So we're layers deep. It's inception, dream within a dream within a dream, and that's where we're at with our blockchain. But the way we approach it is we want everyone to be able to interact with the game inside and out. Like if you're not playing the game, we want you to be building on the game, and it also makes it easier for partners to integrate with us. Literally a couple weeks ago, someone came to us, wanted to work with us for like a quest that they're running on their side. They said, "So can you build an API and get us the endpoints?" And I stopped right there. I said, "Sir, we're fully on chain." And his jaw just dropped. He's like, "Oh my god, okay, best party to work with ever." So we're doing it hard mode when we build it, so we don't have to do hard mode later if we want to integrate and work with other people. Once we have a feature up and running, it's reliable, it's stable. We put it on chain. So PvP on chain soon for the pirates in the crowd. It'll happen soon.
Awesome. And I guess maybe as a quick follow-up question, I guess, have you found that there have been any limitations so far in building the game and doing everything on chain?
Oh yeah, I mean everything is it's like I said, it's building on hard mode. It's a lot harder to do it this way, but it makes the boulder to move up a lot heavier. So we have to make sure that something works before we put it on chain, so we're not processing bad data on chain because we can't roll that back. And once it's there forever. So we have to work that much harder to make sure features work. We have to make sure that much harder that our lights are always on and processing data into the blockchain, and that the game is always reading the blockchain and filtering back data. So every time you're loading in, it has to check and see how much gold do you have, how much iron ore do you have, what ships do you have, did you buy any skins, did you buy any new chests? So it's constant like feedback, like between game and chain, it's constant feedback that has to go back and forth at all times, and that's difficult. We There was one month we spent almost 6 figures on gas back when we were on Polygon. So it took a lot of time for us to find the right solution, but we finally kind of building our own chain. It's like one game, one chain, is how we're approaching it. So Apex is all Pirate Nation. Pirate Nation is all Apex. Um, it just took us a while to get here, but we're here. It also held us back from scaling up to tons of players. Obviously, the game needed to be built in more features and more content and more programming, but at the same time, at an infrastructure level, we outgrew Polygon with only like I don't think we even hit 1,000 daily actives. Um, so and it's just been a challenge, but we're got the infrastructure down now. So with our Jolly Roger program and the booty points, we're looking to scale very rapidly. So check, don't fade. Watch us. Watch what we're about to do. Witness us, because it's going to be fun.
It's awesome. I love the comment building on hard mode. I appreciate that. Um, but moving on to another group question here, and maybe Bram, you can start us out in this one. And this is a little bit more of a fun question, but what has been one of your favorite moments in Web3 recently, either personally or in the news?
Well, for me personally, it was GDC last month. It was the first time I was at the show floor. It was also the first time we publicly showcased Forgotten Playland to like an outwards facing audience and get playtesting data in and just general feedback. And overall, the GDC was a great event again this year. And also just the feedback and the response that we got from the game on the show floor was overwhelmingly positive. So far that has been my favorite moment this year.
Awesome. What about you? How about Brett?
Yeah, I would say probably recently would be the Pudgy Penguins launch. Them basically onboarding a bunch of Web2 folks discreetly onto Web3 by the launch, if you guys didn't know about, at Walmart.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, sorry, Nick, do you have something you were gonna say?
No, no, I was just I really love that too. I thought it was a really good way of spreading the IP and finding a way, they Pudgy Penguins has done a really good job leaning into being essentially just a brand with cute, good IP. I mean, you look at their social media and they put a ton of work into creating, content daily that is really engaging, very viral. I mean, they do a great job. They're one of the projects. I don't have one, so no skin in the game. But I think that they more than many projects that stayed somewhat limited to their IP. Right, this was a PFP collection that grew and grew a community and really embraced the idea of we are a PFP collection. We are a pure content IP, and we're going to build off that. They did all the right things. They went to retailers like Walmart and got a huge deal to get their cute little penguins out there. They had a social media strategy. I mean, you look at some of their posts, and no one even knows that what Pudgy Penguins is sometimes, but they're interacting with these posts of cute little penguins, messing around with each other on, that are funny and whatever. And I guarantee you, they probably get 100,000 likes and 80,000 of them don't know what an NFT is. But they've done a really good job of appealing to the Web2 community. And I think we need more of that. I also think we need more of that in gaming. I think it's going to take a couple big Web2 or Web3 games, bringing in massive amounts of players and onboarding them and getting them familiar with at least social wallet infrastructure and decentralized marketplaces before any of us can talk about scaling. And I hope games can hit 100 million users or 10 million users or even a million users, right? Because right now we're still in this kind of smaller space, and without tapping into the broader traditional gaming space, I think it's a bit difficult to achieve those numbers. But I think we will get there through strategies like what Pudgy's doing, kind of thinking outside the box from the Web3 space and going to consumers who just want to play a fun game, maybe for free, maybe in markets that aren't traditionally, thought of in the gaming space for a $70 game or a $60 game. Hitting different angles. Go ahead, Decimated.
Yeah, I was just going to say, kind of, branching off what you're saying there about kind of like interacting with Web2 spaces. We did it was like a Solana gaming event in London, in kind of like a gaming cafe, and we hooked up, PCs with Decimated, and there was a load of other kind of like Web3 games, loaded onto the PCs as well that people could kind of interact with. And then a bunch of university students that knew nothing to do, with kind of blockchain tech or anything, were invited to kind of come in and play the games. And it was so refreshing to kind of be there in person and kind of hear the feedback of kind of like, what is this that I'm interacting with? What's this wallet thing? Why do I need this? Why can't I just play the game? Like all the questions that, for us, degens, we get it because we eat, sleep, and drink this stuff. But it's kind of like when you're slapped in the face with that fish, it's you're kind of okay, yeah, that's a roadblock. This is a barrier to entry. Okay, and I think like I completely agree with the Pudgy Penguins reference, because like my girlfriend sends Pudgy Penguin gifs when in text messages and stuff, and I remember Wab on X, 2 years ago in the last cycle, kind of saying, we're going to lean into this kind of like social engagement and stuff, and like, look, like it's gotten them where they need to be as a PFP project compared to like Bored Apes and everything. So yeah, I think it's really interesting how you really do have to kind of get down to the granular level and listen, to what people are kind of saying, to the people that you want to attract into your project, no matter what kind of space it's in, the people that you want using your product. You have to listen to what their feedback is and kind of try to overcome that in a fun way, because fun and creativity is what gets people interacting with your project, not kind of, because we know the technology is there, but the technology has a lot of blockers for people.
Yeah, it's funny. Forgotten Playland actually front ran my answers to the question. I was also going to say that GDC was one of my favorite things that have happened recently. And the same thing, demoing the game and getting feedback at GDC and seeing other great games being demoed. I saw Pirate Nation at the Arbitrum booth, and then I saw a lot of great games at the Avalanche station, and we were demoing at the Blockchain Gaming Alliance, who are just an awesome project. If you guys haven't heard of them, they're doing great things in the space for Web3 games. But I guess kind of to your point, which was funny, I was having several conversations with people who hadn't heard of NFTs, hadn't heard of blockchain. We're having fun playing the game because the game plays very arcade like. You kind of just pick it up and go in there and splash around and have fun with it. But one of the guys was kind of like, well, and I was kind of talking to him about something I thought was a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't you want to own your items and be able to transfer them? And the guy kind of came back to me and he was like, well, I feel like I would lose it or I would get hacked, and I don't want that responsibility. And I was just kind of like, well, the alternative isn't great either, where the studio owns everything and you don't own anything. But I get it, right? I get that people don't really have kind of a semblance of what custody means for digital property, right? And so like if someone were to say that about a t-shirt or a hat or a physical collectible, and someone's like, oh, well, I'm not actually gonna give you this collectible. I'm actually just gonna give you the right to display it in your home until you do something that I don't like, and I can always take it back or delete it. I think if people kind of thought of it that way, like what would be kind of like preposterous with physical collectibles and physical items and physical goods is kind of the industry standard for digital goods. And so, that was the first time that I was like, well, maybe this isn't a no-brainer. Maybe this isn't something that we could just expect people to get at a basic level. Maybe we do have to kind of draw those analogies and say, hey, guys, like, would you ever do that with a physical good? No. Well, the world's about to get a lot more digital. Things we collect are about to get a lot more digital. Don't you want infrastructure that'll allow you to actually own these things and actually have rights over these things? Because if you don't, I promise you the big companies aren't going to give it to you. They'll be just fine and happy, giving you AR skins that you don't own anything about and you can't trade and you can't sell and, aren't really authenticatable and all that good stuff. So, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because GDC was eye-opening. I also think that I got really excited about all the use cases of AI that are currently being presented in gaming, and so that's a deep rabbit hole that again I wouldn't want to go down in this conversation, but maybe a topic for next time. But yeah, the way that games are starting to incorporate AI, especially AAA games, that are starting to do it. As a gamer myself, I can't wait for some of the interactions that we're soon going to be having inside of video games, whether those are Web3 games or not. I think the tech is just getting like silly cool, and I think it's scary too. I mean, I think it could cut both ways, but anyways, I think we have a prize to announce, right, Spence?
We do. I believe, real quick though, if they want to answer, I don't think Pirate Nation got a chance to share
Oh yeah,
what their
yeah, for
favorite
sure.
moment was recently, either personally or in the news.
Well, at a personal level, I just want to say I'm really excited by my pet hooligan's recent success. And me personally, before it even came to Pirate Nation, before Pirate Nation existed as a game, I met those guys when they were just starting out with their NFT collection, and I was working at a company doing digital wearables that's now defunct. But we were trying to figure out a collaboration, and they had this big ambitious plan. They wanted to take it to console and do all this cool stuff. So I'm just really happy with to see them kind of make it this far and survive. I've seen so many better things fold and greater things succeed and all the iterations of that. So very excited to see them stick around and hop it out.
Yeah, I'm also a huge fan of that team, and we've met up with them with various conferences over the years. We actually had the same marketing team for a while, helping us out and advising in those very early days. So they've done an incredible job. Their studio's sick. They do really cool stuff. So yeah, definitely echoing that. I need to jump back in. Actually, it's been a little while since I've jumped in and played their experience, but definitely a fan. All right. Now over to Spencer for the much anticipated prize announcement.
Absolutely. So today we're going to be giving away 5 Satoshi's crystals. And just real quick, Satoshi's crystals are an in-game resource that you can use to basically improve your gameplay, upgrade your items, upgrade your avatar, things like that in the game. Nick could probably give a better explanation of it, but our winner today is Easy Snipe. Congratulations, Easy Snipe, or at Easy Snipe do Tef.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Nice. Congrats, Easy Snipe. Oh, yeah.
But
there's one more part to that. Go ahead. Tell them how
to
play.
I was going to say, in order to claim it, you just need to go to game.legions2029.com, create a free account, and then send us a DM with your username, and then we'll be able to get you your prize.
Yeah, for sure. So congrats on that. We'll be doing crystals giveaways, every week, and have some other prizes coming up too. The long and short of crystals is that is our 1155 in-game resource that you essentially use for everything important within Legions 2029. So getting some crystals, you can earn them as an avatar holder passively, or you can earn them in-game by leveling up and beating the bosses, and you can get those as loot. It's harder to get them as loot, but yeah, they're definitely an important resource. And then if you'd like, you can mint them and sell them and do whatever you want with them because they're NFTs. But yeah, definitely create that account, send it over, and we'll get those crystals deposited to your account, and you'll have a nice little boost going into the game as you play. But yeah, so I think we're at the top of the hour. I want to thank first of all the speakers. I'm busy. I know how busy you guys are. It's a crazy world that we're in, and so taking an hour out to kind of spread the love and talk about Web3 gaming in the metaverse, I know that is always a challenge to find that time. So thank you so much for joining and sharing your thoughts with us. This has been another awesome space. For everybody in the community, in the crowd, thank you for sticking around and being here in person. It's always nice to see all those faces when we do this. For those of you who enjoyed the space, we do it every week. We have a fresh panel every week. We talk about similar topics, but as you can see, depending on the guest, it always goes in a different direction. So, no two panels are the same. Definitely join us next week, same time, same place. What I'll do now is I am going to open up in case any of the projects here, the speakers, have anything coming up. Feel free to talk about anything you want. Shill, do whatever you want to kind of get people to participate. I'm happy to have whatever you guys think would be helpful. And then once I hear crickets, even if that's right away, feel free to not say anything. I will wait about 30 seconds because there's a slight delay, and then I will end the space. So now is when I turn off my mic, and you guys can turn on yours and say something, and then I'll end the space.
Go for it, Forge. You go first.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, thank you to the host and inviting us over. It was great to join the spaces in general, and it was even though, like you said, it's often hard to pick out an hour to join in. It's always fun to join other people's spaces. But yeah, to take my moment of shine and chill a little bit, we are Forgotten Playland, a free-to-play social party game launching on Beam this Thursday. It's completely free to play. You can just download it to your PC, log into your Epic Games account, and you're ready to go. Follow us at Forgot Playland for more information and join along for the ride.
Yeah,
Nice. Yeah. Sorry. Just wanted to jump in and say, yeah, so Decimated is survival game. We're launching on Epic Store very soon, hopefully on this week. And we're already up on Steam, but we have our kind of alpha build that you can jump in and play whenever you want. We'll be launching our first PFP collection this summer, as well as some tournaments where you can earn and win some of our token Dio. So we're very excited to have those kind of competitive tournaments coming up. And yeah, we'd love to see you in our community. Join our Discord and you'll be able to take part in our playtest.
cool. Yeah, I'll just say a quick word. Yeah, if anyone's interested in working on pairing their physical goods with NFTs, feel free to reach out. Happy to chat and learn more about what you want to do.
And if you love pirates and you're interested in booty, swing by piratenation.game. If you don't have a pirate yet, you can sign up today with the exclusive code Games Are Fun. Just click that play button and enter in the code, and you'll get started. Games are fun. No spaces, all one word. We have a fun campaign right now where you can play the game and engage with us on socials and earn booty points. Because pirates love booty, they always will, and more to come in the future. Thank you so much, Satoshiverse, for reaching out and having us.
Absolutely, and thank you all for joining. I guess I'll do the last plug for those of you who weren't here. We have our game Legions 2029. It is free to play. All the information is in the pin tweet at the top of the space. Download it, join the community, and join us next week for another awesome episode of The Hideout. We look forward to seeing you there, and thank you again to everyone who joined and all the guests. I'm going to wait 30 seconds and then I'm going to sign off.